Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. You're just chilling with me today on the sofa. My camera's not working, so I'm using my iPhone to record this in a different setting. I won't be using Letterboxd because it's on my phone, so we're just going to do that a little bit different this week. So it's just an informal chill with your mate to let you know what I've watched and is it worth your time. So first of all, let's kick off with a series which I completed this week, which I was absolutely blown away by. I love this. This was called Squid Game. This is one that one of my fellow YouTubers, Screen Canes, did a review for, which the intro was just amazing. I will link that in the description if I remember. Squid Game is a Korean series. If you like things like Battle Royale, if you saw the recent Netflix show called Alice in Borderland, you will very much get the gist of this series. You will very much enjoy it. So what is Squid Game? Squid Game is, as it sounds, a game which has a lot of people partake in to win a massive amount of money. These people have all been very carefully chosen by a particular group of people because they have money troubles. They need money in their life desperately to sort some situation or other. And in order to win this money, basically anyone that doesn't succeed in the games doesn't just lose, they lose their life. So we've got loads of games, we've got all these people competing, we follow a particular person in his situation. What I loved about this is how close you get to the characters. The characters are all very different individuals. You sort of change your mind throughout as to how you feel about particular characters. Alliances are challenged, the games get really devious. It is an incredible piece of television. It's visually stunning. The acting is just perfection. The characters are really interesting and well developed. It's just fantastic to look at. Soundtrack amazing. I cannot fault this. I really enjoyed it. It's just a shame that it will lose so much of an audience because obviously it's Korean. A lot of people don't like subtitles. I get that people like different things and it puts some people off, but please, if you don't mind watching things with subtitles, please check out Squid Game. It is so much worth your time. If you enjoy it, I would also recommend that you check out Alice in Borderlands. It's got a very similar concept. I would say of the two, I preferred Squid Game, but I also loved Alice in Borderlands. I gave that a 4.5 out of 5. Okay, on to the next evening, and I watched something I've been wanting to see for a long time by the name of Joe Bell. This is Mark Wahlberg's movie. It's quite a new one. There's a lot of buzz about it. This is actually a true story. It follows Mark Wahlberg's character, Joe Bell, who has had a son that has experienced horrendous bullying at school for being gay. He's very much your typical middle-aged dad, not really knowing even how to cope with the news that his son is gay. He's not homophobic, but he's from a generation that just don't know how you should be reacting to the news, don't know what the best thing to do is. He's not a man for words and talk and emotion. And he, in this movie, is doing a walk to raise awareness of bullying and bullying in schools. And it's this man's true story. It's very touching, it's very heartfelt. His performance is fantastic. A lot of people feel Mark Wahlberg can't act, which I completely feel this just dispels immediately. He is amazing in this. I would thoroughly recommend it. Obviously, if you want something with all the bells and whistles and loads happening, if you're not a fan of true stories that don't have anything added, that are just the basic true story of a person's experience, then not for you. If you appreciate fantastic acting, if you like to see real things, if you like to have that sense of human touch, I would thoroughly recommend Joe Bell, and I gave that a 4 out of 5. On to the next evening, the 24th, and things couldn't stay this well for too long. I watched a new movie that hit Netflix by the name of Intrusion. This is very much what you think it is, like a home invasion type movie, a beautiful couple in a house in the middle of nowhere. Their little oasis is spoiled, someone breaks into the house. The husband sets about trying to make everything secure. They obviously don't struggle with money. They've got all the latest bells and whistles, electronic locks, locked from phones, cameras, lights, you name it, they've got it. And the husband is very much the man of the house. He's going to protect his wife, etc., etc. There's more going on in this movie that I cannot say it's a twist because it's as predictable as it comes. I watched this with my husband, and really within the first, after the home invasion had happened at the start of the movie, it was pretty clear where this was going, what was going to happen, what the story was going to be. It was okay. I wouldn't watch it again. I thought it was extremely predictable, but you could watch worse. I gave this one a 1.5 out of 5. And so on to the following evening, the 25th, I watched Don't Breathe 2. This is one I've been hearing a lot of negative things about. I really enjoyed the first movie, and I totally take on board what a lot of people said in the character of the first movie. Basically, do I spoil the first movie? No. If you haven't seen the first Don't Breathe movie, the guy that stars in this is a nasty piece of work. There's things that he does in this movie to a young woman that are just repugnant and abhorrent, and he's a horrible person. This movie has the same individual, but we're meant to really see him from a sympathetic point of view, which is kind of difficult to do when you remember what he's done in the first movie. So that would be my first main point of difficulty. It wasn't as bad as I was expecting it to be. It was okay. There was nothing that stood out glaringly awful in the movie. The effects were very good where they were used. They were very convincing, like the little gore bits in there, but it's very, very forgettable. It's very easy to switch off from. It entertains you for the hour and a half that it's on, but you're not going to remember it. It's not going to stand out to you. And you will find your mind wander at times when you're watching it if you've got that time of mind. It's just not all encompassing and riveting stuff. It's not quite as bad as I expected it to be, but I wouldn't recommend that you rush out to watch it. This one I give a 2 out of 5. Okay, and on the same night, thankfully, movies redeemed themselves again. I watched The Starling with Melissa McCarthy and Chris O'Dowd. This is a new one to hit Netflix. Again, very much like Joe Bell, this will not appeal if you're not into watching very much dramas about people's experience and life and just normal things that occur to us, that hit us in places that make us feel all different kinds of emotions. Personally, I can't get enough of things like that. I love a good character study. This is a movie about a couple, Melissa McCarthy and Chris O'Dowd. I know it sounds really unusual and strange. We know them both from comedy roles. I really rate Melissa McCarthy as an actress. I don't think she gets the credit that she deserves. Do I like every movie she's in? No. Do I find her funny if she's constantly typecast as the loud brash? No. Can she act? Very much so. Very much so with Chris O'Dowd, which us in the UK are very used to seeing him in the IT Crowd, which if you haven't seen it and you're in the US, check out the IT Crowd. It's such a funny series. But Chris O'Dowd and Melissa McCarthy play a couple that have been recently bereaved and they have lost their child. They are trying to come to terms with this in their own way, very differently. And a little Starling comes along and basically inserts itself into Melissa McCarthy's life in a particular way. It's not a particular massive way, it's nothing of any great consequence. So we get some real moments with the Starling and with, I really apologise if you can hear dogs barking, folks. I've got a neighbour walking back and forth in front of the house. The dogs don't like it. I think they're wondering what I'm doing, to be fair with you, because they can probably see me through the window and the whole bottom has come off my slippers. That's no use. Right, anyway, yeah, Melissa McCarthy's performance in this is beautiful, as is Chris O'Dowd's. We've got a Dobby. Hello, Dobby. Come on then, you can come too. Honest to God, this is what happens. Hello, Molly. Molly's down. Can you sit down so I can do my thing? Can I do my thing? Yes, you sit there, Daddy. That's it. Look, your ears folded over. There. How am I supposed to talk seriously about Melissa McCarthy's performance? Hey? Melissa McCarthy's performance in this movie is beautiful, as is Chris O'Dowd's. As I said, they try to deal with this bereavement in very different ways, and it's driving them apart as a couple, and they have to find a way to come back together and to continue without their child. Now, I'm sure anyone that has a child will attest that, and I know personally for me, I've said this, I do not know how I would go on without them. I would find it very difficult to function because so much of what I am is put into my child, whether that be right or wrong. Your child, when you become a parent, your child is your life. and you live and breathe for that child. And watching these two people trying to get on with life, and that reason for being has gone, and the way they were used to communicating as a couple, the way they were used to being together as a couple has completely changed. And as they said, they deal with that in very different ways. And this little Starling just inserts itself and allows Melissa McCarthy, in a way, a target to stuff she's not dealing with because she's feeling she has to support her husband in his grief, and she's trying to dampen hers down. Thoroughly recommend it if you like that kind of thing. There isn't an awful lot that happens. This very simply is this couple's attempt to move on. I personally thought the performances were beautiful. I would thoroughly recommend. I give this one a 3.5 out of 5. Okay, and on to the last 3 movies of the week. First of all, I watched this. Now, my son is 10. He has been nagging me for what seems like forever to see Deadpool. Now, I am not particularly a really strict parent, but I draw the line at Deadpool. He has seen all the Marvel movies. I do let him watch some 15 movies. I'm happy with him watching Venom, things like that. Deadpool is just language from start to finish, and the gore in it and some of the stuff in Deadpool's a bit much, I think, for someone of 10 to be watching. Maybe I'm just a really strict mum, I don't know. But there is a movie called Once Upon a Deadpool, which was actually released as a PG-13, which Ryan Reynolds agreed to do after years of nagging, only if he got Fred Savage in the role, and he would read to Fred Savage, who was in bed, from a storybook, aka The Princess Bride. So they recreated the set from The Princess Bride, where Fred Savage was in as a little boy and his granddad was reading him the story. So they replaced that with him in bed as a grown adult, and Deadpool's reading him the story of Deadpool 2. And they insert basically the entirety of Deadpool 2 with the bad language beeped, which is funny in itself. Not all the swears, because that would be ridiculous, but they do take out most of the bad swear language. They do leave in some, but they PG-13 it. And me and my husband thoroughly enjoyed it. We've seen Deadpool 2, and we feel that what they did to it to make it suitable for not kids, it's PG-13. We thoroughly enjoyed it. Isaac really liked it. I would thoroughly recommend, if you've got kids around about that age, early teens, you're not sure about them watching Deadpool, let them watch Once Upon a Deadpool. It is basically Deadpool 2. They haven't remade the first one. And I personally cannot wait for Deadpool 3, which apparently they're going to start filming next year, so fingers crossed. And also yesterday I watched Stillwater, which is Matt Damon's new movie. This is very loosely based on the Amanda Knox story. I don't know if you know the true crime case of Amanda Knox, who was living, I believe, in Italy. In this it's France. Now maybe I'm wrong. And there's a lot of did she or didn't she kill her roommate? And she went to trial, and people are very divided on whether or not she did it. Well, this is very loosely based on that, but not exactly that. This follows Matt Damon's character, who is from Middle America. So Matt Damon travels to Marseille in France. He is there to visit his daughter. He goes to see her every day. But she has perhaps found new evidence which could point towards her innocence. And he is trying his best to convince people to look into this evidence, to maybe look into some stuff himself. And this is basically the story of his search to exonerate his daughter, and relationships he forms along the way. He meets a really nice French woman, and her daughter forms a very close relationship with them. Really entertaining movie. Matt Damon is fantastic in this. His performance I really, really rate. He's not been an actor I would say I'm a big fan of. I don't dislike him by any means, but the Bourne movies, while I liked, I don't take that much from them. I did enjoy the one he did where he was in, is it The Martian? Or am I imagining that? The one where he was in on Mars. I'm maybe talking rubbish. I did like that one. But yeah, I did really enjoy this. Again, it's not exactly really fast moving. It's more story based. That isn't my preference generally, but his performance in this is first rate. And a little bit, there's just little bits that they did with it that I really enjoyed near in the end, and it just was realistic and satisfying where they went with this and how they ended this. So yeah, I would thoroughly recommend Stillwater also, and I give that one a 3.5 out of 5. And finally, last night on the recommendation of Aaron from Screen Stars, I checked out The Girl Who Got Away. This is a very straightforward thriller slash horror. I'd say more, no, it's a thriller about many years ago, a woman kidnapped 5 young girls and 4 of them were killed and buried. 1 managed to get away. This is a movie about this young girl who is now an adult female. We follow her life, and then the woman that is responsible was being transported somewhere, and quelle surprise, she has managed to escape. This woman is on the loose, and people around the escaped girl, the girl that got away, start to show up dead. So this woman is clearly not happy and wants to put right what went wrong. She does not want there to be one that got away. There's more to the movie, there's more that happens, there's twists in this. It's an entertaining little watch. Aaron said it had pacing issues. I enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it's something that's always going to stay with me. I'm not going to say it's an amazing movie, but it is a really solid movie. It's entertaining. It kept my attention. It is quite long. I think it was almost 2 hours, maybe an hour 50. Did really keep my attention. I appreciated all the performances in there. I thought they all did a very good job. Cinematography was good. Sound design was a bit loud and quiet in places. You know when you have a movie that when things start to happen and music ramps up, it gets really, really loud. And then when you're trying to hear dialogue, it gets really quiet. That was a bit of an issue in places. But all in all, I enjoyed it. I would say it was a good, solid thriller. Check it out. I did find it a little bit predictable. I think a lot of people that watch a lot of movies will, not right away, but by the time you get halfway through, you will sort of know where you're going with it. But it doesn't really take away from the enjoyment of the movie. I would recommend it. As Aaron said, it's a nice, solid little movie. And I give that one a 3 out of 5 because I did enjoy it. Are you tired, Dobby? Are you desperately tired? So that is, stop. What are you doing? What are you doing? So that's it for this week's folks. Thank you for listening and for tolerating me on my sofa with my dogs. Maybe normal service will resume next week. Perhaps it won't. We shall see. I like to keep this as informal as possible because it's just me chatting to my friends, really. That's what it is. That's what it is, Dobby. She can't keep her eyes open, this poor dog. I'm tired. Yes, she's tired. She's a tired Dobby. So thank you for watching, guys, and I shall catch up with you next week. Over and out from Lacey Lips.